Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, your channel on YouTube for all things PSG in English. Please subscribe. Today it is game day, PSG versus Bayern Munich tonight in Paris in the Champions League, the big one. The big game is upon us. We've been waiting for it. God knows we've been talking about it. If you've been following the channel, we did a preview yesterday with my friends the Bayern View. Also talked with other Bayern YouTubers, Dear Talks as well on his channel. And so I wanted to do this video morning of the game, kind of summing up what to expect from this game, what to watch for, what are going to be the areas of the game where it's going to be decided, so that we've got a grid of understanding going into it. And when we watch tonight, we can see, what's working, what's not working, where we're dominating, and where maybe Bayern is taking the advantage. And I think the first thing I want to talk about, and I think this one is really coming off of the PSG Bayern Munich Club World Cup clash. I think the big area is going to be about beating the press and controlling the ball. Both teams like to have possession of the ball. Both teams want to have possession of the ball. And I think the only difference is that PSG is maybe a little bit more versatile in being able to win a game just through playing transition football and playing counterattacks, essentially. We've seen it in the Club World Cup where really Bayern pressed us hard for most of the game and really challenged our midfield I don't think anyone else ever challenged our midfield. And yet, at the end of it, we still managed to score 2 goals and we still managed to get the win. The way we did it in the Club World Cup, and I think that's going to be probably where this game starts in terms of tactical matchup, is they press very high. And so they have to commit their midfield and even some of their defenders to moving towards our players, to moving very high up on the pitch. And what we saw in the Club World Cup is that it opened a lot of space between the Bayern Munich and midfield and their defense. And essentially, that's a space where Barcola would drop or Kvara would drop, or when he came on the pitch, Dembele would drop into, and be able to serve as a sort of pivot, but also organize the game from this position, give time for fullbacks to come on up, and allow the whole block to move up through that. And I think what's going to be interesting in this case is that last time we played them, they didn't really have to worry so much about Donnarumma and how he could make those passes and find those people between midfield and defense, or find people who are into space. This time with Chevalier is much better at doing this sort of thing. And so if Bayern Munich really wants to put us on the back foot, they're going to have to commit even more people to press our defense, Vitinha and Chevalier. And so if you think about it, our defense, that's 4 people plus 1 goalkeeper plus Vitinha plus maybe at least one of our other 2 midfielders, because we know whether it's Ruiz, Warren Zaire-Emery, or Joao Neves, they know they need to sometime come back down to help move the ball out. So we're talking about 6-7 players. And so if you do the matchup of the Bayern side, that's Kane, Nyarbi, Olise, Luis Díaz, Kimmich, the second midfielder as well. So that's already a lot of people who are committed. And so if there are 2 midfielders, if they're double pivot, actually move high up, Kimmich and Pavlovic, then once again it does open those lines of passing at the back of their midfield, and it does open a lot of space for attackers to collect the ball into and start taking runs at the offense. Or just hold the ball and allow for all block to come out. And I think, this is probably where we're going to start. I think, are they going to ask their defenders to follow our attackers and, then open more space in between their defense and their keepers, which can be even more dangerous? Or are they going to sit a little bit lower and maybe not press as high up as they did in the Club World Cup? It's also possible. We talked about a game which in the end could be fairly closed off, and where both teams are kind of looking at each other and really studying each other more than anything. So we'll have to see like what kind of approach Bayern takes. I've got no doubts that like ideally they're going to try to press very high, and so I think like the question mark on our side is really going to be around like how do we react to the things that they put in place, and how can we like on the fly create opportunities to move the ball out of defense and create like open people up front who can like call for the ball, hold the ball, and allow for us to start take possession and move from defense into offense. So we'll have to see. It's going to be interesting as well in that sense that I talked about it in one of the previous games match debrief, but we know that Kvara is like typically plays on the left and Barcola plays on the right, but they do switch. They do switch a lot. They love switching it, and when Kvara goes on the right, he does have like this really like typical movement of coming back down almost into midfield, and setting himself up for runs at the defense or for organizing the game. And I think moves like this are going to be very, very critical and could really be helpful in giving ourselves opportunities to control the game a little bit. So we'll see. I think that's going to be the first one. The second one that I was thinking of is really in terms of running the wings. Both teams love and like play games that involve their fullbacks a lot, and both teams play with wingers that have an outsized importance in terms of the offensive build-up. And so whether it's Kvara or Luis Díaz, whether it's Barcola or Olise, whether it's Laimer or Hakimi, or like I think in this case Stanisic versus Nuno Mendes, all of those players are going to be expected to contribute in offense and in defense, in moving the ball out, in controlling the opposing team. So that's a lot of things to do for them. And also, like on both sides, we know that the fullbacks have a tendency and have also like a tactical way of coming within the midfield and coming infield to bring more density and bring more people. So that could also be a way of getting the ball out of defense for us. Like I imagine like typically like teams try to pressure us in a way that puts the ball towards like Marquinhos and Hakimi, and try to get the ball into Hakimi. And then, close off around him, close off his line of passing, whether it's to Barcola up front, whether it's to Vitinha or João Neves in midfield, or whether it's to Marquinhos. And so all of a sudden, are there opportunities for Hakimi to just cross the ball straight into Nuno Mendes that would have gone into a half space in midfield kind of area? That could very, very well be a move that could be interesting for us. And beyond that, simply put, like we're going to have to score goals. Like both teams are going to have to score goals if they want to get the win. And I think both teams are going to want to get the win. And I don't think like either team gets to score a goal without their fullbacks coming into offense and helping to contribute to the offense. And so, all fullbacks are equipped to do that. The question is like, if this doesn't convert into a goal, how quickly can the other team break away and take advantage of the space in the back of the fullbacks? We've seen this in the Club World Cup final against Chelsea. That's essentially how Chelsea killed us. That Nuno Mendes would come very far up. Fabian Ruiz, who was our midfielder for this game, wouldn't compensate and take the spot in defense to hold the fort. And so Chelsea would be able to break away and find a lot of space behind Nuno Mendes and to the left of Beraldo on this game. And yeah, essentially that's how they killed us. So we're going to have to be very mindful of this. I'm sure Bayern has seen that move. I'm sure they're going to be ready to deploy it as well. So our midfield is going to be a lot more dedicated in terms of covering the space and doing the compensation work. And also our defense has to be a lot more proactive at closing not only Kane but also Nyarbi if he comes as a second attacker. So that was the second thing. The third one is really about clinical finishing, and I think that's an area where if I'm candid, like Bayern has the upper end. Obviously, Kane has been on top of his game for like all of this season so far. Very, very clinical, contributes into the game a lot as well. And so he's really a player where he's not gonna need 3 chances to score a goal. We're gonna have to like really keep a close eye on him. The duel against Pacho is gonna be one for the ages again. So we're gonna have to be on top of our games with this. And then around that for Bayern, if I look at a player like Luis Díaz, like Olise, even like Nyarbi, all very good player, all excellent player, but not necessarily like the most consistent of finishers. So we're gonna have to see if they're on their A game, how we can limit their influence and limit their chances, push them into positions where they don't have the easiest shots and don't have the best chances. And ultimately for PSG, like Chevalier is going to have to make a statement game because Bayern is going to have chances for sure. And this is going to be prime time for him to really show what he's made of, what we've seen him do in the Champions League last year with Lille against the big teams. And so a big one for him. And on the PSG side, our attackers haven't been like that clinical in the past few games. We had to wait till the 95th minute to score against Nice. Lorient, we scored one, but still got held to a draw. So like there's been difficulties, but at the same time in the Champions League, we've done very well so far. We've put a lot past Atalanta, we've put a lot past Leverkusen, we won in Barcelona. So we seem to be doing better when there's more space to work with and we have more opportunities to develop our game. But we need to be mindful because against a team like Bayern, and even if defense is not like the strongest point of the team, they're not going to give us 25 chances to score a goal. And so we'll need to take those chances. We'll need to be more clinical than what we're used to. And I think the question mark around Dembele playing or not, coming on the pitch or not, is a pretty big one in this context. I think Mayulu is going to start. I've got confidence in him because I think he's a great player. But obviously he's not a Ballon d'Or winner. So he's really going to have to turn a performance just like he did in Barcelona. That takes me to like the starting 11, just to close this off and make sure you've got all the elements. I'll start with Bayern. We're looking at old man Neuer in goal, grandpa Neuer still there, Laimer on the right, Upamecano and Ta in central defense, probably Stanisic on the left, still a question mark versus Bui, but I do expect Stanisic personally. In midfield, Kimmich and Pavlovic in the double pivot. And then the line of 3, Olise on the right, Nyarbi in 10, and Luis Díaz on the left, and Kane up front. So pretty classic and what we've seen of Bayern Munich this season so far. For PSG, we're expecting Chevalier in goal, Hakimi on the right, central defense of Marquinhos and Pacho, and Nuno Mendes on the left. In midfield, João Neves and Vitinha. Vitinha playing as a 6, obviously. And then personally, I think Zaire Emery is going to get the third spot, but there's a question mark with Ruiz. I do think, personally, I would expect Zaire Emery to start and then Ruiz to come on the pitch around the 60th minute in place of João Neves, since both players are like coming back from injury relatively recently. And then up front, we're going to have Barcola on the right, Mayulu in the middle, and Kvaratskhelia on the left. With Dembele probably starting on the bench and coming onto the game depending on how it goes in the second half. So anyway, this is my expectation. This is what I'm looking at for this game. I think it's going to be a really, really interesting one tactically. There's lots of things to watch for in terms of how we organize ourselves, in terms of transitions, in terms of moving the ball out. I think even in defense, whether it's Vitinha who drops down into defense to do like the 3 at the back, or whether like Hakimi and Nuno Mendes alternate on who goes forward and who stays back. Yes, there's going to be a lot of stuff to watch for, man. It's going to be a really, really good game. I hope you're all psyched. I'm really psyched for it. So yeah, like let me know what you think and what you expect for this game. Did I miss anything from your perspective? Please drop a like on this video if you've made it this far. Massively helps for the YouTube video. We are on road to 500 subscribers. So if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. Massively helps. It's super appreciated. It helps make sure that you see all the future videos. And God knows, like whatever happens, there's going to be a big debrief to watch tomorrow. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to get notified. And don't forget, ici c'est Paris!